Now, this is a nonsense story. I mean, it's a nonsense story that I think that a midlife crisis happens to anybody at any stage. We're talking about midlife crisis, and they're going to say, old men like me go out and buy
I think you're
fancy
past
cars.
midlife. I think I'm midlife now. I think...
Well, I've bought the car, done that sort of thing, right? And all I need is to get the young girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's when it's official.
Next thing as well. 1 in 5 people between 40 and 60 years of age will go through this crisis. But why do people feel the need to behave in this way? And can you avoid it? Why would you want to avoid it? Let's speak to chartered psychologist and author of the Midlife Crisis Handbook. We welcome Dr. Julie Hannan.
Good morning.
Julie, do women go through a midlife crisis?
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely. A midlife crisis doesn't care who it hits, really. So, yeah.
So what do women do? That men stereotypically get a younger version and they get a bigger car. What do women do?
Well, I think it's... Well, they can certainly do the same. So they do anything that needs to kind of spark interest, really. I think a lot of people get to their 40s to 60s and the midlife malaise kicks in. So then it's a way of kind of re-sparking your life, re-sparking interest. And so some women will buy a car, some people will change their job. So it can all depend.
Right, so Eamon said, why would you want to avoid it? My perception, having until very recently been looking at middle age from afar, has been that the midlife crisis is really just setting fire to your life. And actually, a lot of people probably regret some of the decisions they make. They could have a wonderful family unit. The grass isn't always greener. They go off with some airhead.
Boring life. They need a boring life.
Let me finish my point.
Okay.
And, you know, is that the case? What's the evidence to show that actually it's a good idea or a bad idea to indulge your midlife crisis?
Well, a lot of people would say that a midlife crisis is an existential necessity, so that you are... So a midlife crisis is an identity crisis. So a lot of people don't update their values and the way that they live their life from those early 20 years. And, of course, if you look at the values of an adolescent, they might be power, success, money. And then if you compare the values of a 40 to 60-year-old, that might be more about autonomy, freedom, contribution, giving back. So, therefore, what you need to do is align your life with your current values. But a lot of people don't do that self-reflective work.
Doctor, I so agree. I so agree with everything you're saying there. Are you actually...
Is there a but? There's a but coming.
Yeah, but are you saying that it's necessarily a bad thing?
No.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing. Some of the choices people make can turn out to be quite a bad thing because they're very impulsive choices to make quick decisions, change your identity immediately. But the midlife crisis can be really useful because you can stay with your same partner, keep the same car, just align your life accordingly.
What you do is you go to more funerals.
You definitely do.
And I think that affects the way you think. You think that you've worked very hard over the years. Maybe you look around and you think things aren't the way they should be.
Yeah.
I mightn't have many years left. And I should enjoy what's there.
Absolutely. I think mortality and the awareness of mortality is definitely a factor, especially for that sandwich generation. So you've got a lot of people who've still got teenage children and elderly parents. So you've got dependence on both sides. So there is a lot of death. And, of course, the suicide rates for men, particularly in their 50s, are very high as well.
But, you know, when we think of the cliché of a midlife crisis, you think of people that shouldn't really be wearing leather jackets or, you know, buying a Ferrari or I don't know, joining a band or something. Can you have a midlife crisis without embarrassing yourself?
Hopefully, yes.
What's the best way to do that, then? If you want to spark up your life, have more interest without detonating it and making a fool of yourself? Yeah,
I think what a lot of people do is they're not sure how to live their current lives, so they go back and replay their early years. So that's when the car, the nightclubs, the affairs and everything come into it. But if you stay as you are and actually really examine the different aspects of your life, that be social life, family, how you parent, your career, and update your values and align the two together, then you can live an exciting life. You don't have necessarily that big adrenaline kind of rush from having an affair and the excitement from that, but actually you can live an exciting life that is continually exciting and changing. But you've got to really strive for it. It doesn't just happen. You've got to work through it.
See, I want a quiet life.
You're a bore.
I have such a stressful life.
Yeah.
So much going on as a working mum as well.
Yeah.
All I want is just peace and quiet. I've got time to go to nightclubs and a younger man or anything like that.
No, absolutely.
I really just want a rest.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people...
I have been ill for 2 years and incapacitated, and I can't wait to get better and live a different life.
Yeah.
I do.
That makes sense.
I want to travel more. I want to be more irresponsible. I want to stop getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You are the enfant terrible, as you said to me this morning. You are. I'm worried about you. I'm going to watch with amusement.
But everybody's idea of fun is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like they want to run away, but it's about creating a life where you don't have to run away from it. You can find peace if that is, if that is what you value.
The running away bit I can relate to, but it's not that, the form it would take.
No, absolutely.
Very, very
bit
interesting.
depressing, but
so you've got a book out on this. What do you think this book will teach people?
Because I see a lot of people in personal therapy, I've been meaning to write this book for about 4 or 5 years now. So I just wanted people to get an idea of what happens on individual therapy. So that's why I wrote the book. So it just takes you a step-by-step guide of how to change your life in accordance with the life that you want to live now that you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s.
Julie, I'm guessing you're in that range.
I am. I am.
Is there anything,
especially this time of the morning, Eamon, yeah.
Is there anything you want to tell us? Have you
had one?
Have you had one? Yeah.
Well, I got married last week.
Oh, is this your husband?
It is my husband. Yeah.
Well, either it's your husband or you've got a stalker. There's a man there. Very good to see you.
Hello.
Yeah. So that was new. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Excuse me, could I ask you, was that a deliberate decision, as in you'd reached a certain age and you thought...
Excuse me, could I ask you?
And you're going to do something about it. You're going to spice up your life. You're going to...
Well, that was more about meeting a wonderful person at a great time in my life and asking him to marry me.
Oh, wow, you did popping the question.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I wasn't going to let him get away.
Ah, that's so nice.
That's a lovely love story. I'm glad you're living the dream. I think that's really nice. I think that's the thing. Whether you go through what is termed a crisis or not termed a crisis, it's just an experience for people. We should all hope that people are having a happy life and enjoying themselves. That's the main thing.
Can I ask you, since we've got you here, and we were going to talk about love languages earlier, and I thought it was really interesting. YouGov did a survey of men and women and what so there's
this is very interesting.
It's the idea of the 5 things that within a relationship people basically is the way you speak to them through love. So you can either have quality time, words of affirmation, which is praise or appreciation, physical touch, which I have to stress doesn't necessarily mean sex, but I suspect for men it generally does. Acts of service, so emptying the dishwasher, taking the bins out, or helping put the kids to bed. And gifts. The most shocking thing to me was that only 2% of people thought gifts was the most important thing. But the biggest distinction between men and women was actually on physical touch. 21% of men said physical touch was their love language, 7% of women.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what age were the people
I don't
that were
know.
surveyed?
I think it's just 3,743 people.
Okay. The thing is, I think I certainly deal with people who've been in long-term relationships, and I think the language of love can change through that time as well. So when people are together 30, 40 years, people change, people grow apart and express themselves in different ways, but it's all about communication and asking your partner and telling them what you're looking for.
Why don't they teach love languages on marriage courses? We had to, because we were married in a church, we had to go and do a day talking about passing the pen when we were arguing and all this nonsense. Why didn't they say this? Because my husband could have, basically, is it also possible that I could want all 5 of those constantly?
Why not? Absolutely, I insist upon it.
Yeah, me too. OK, well, that's sorted.
Well, that's very interesting. I've got people thinking, talking about your life. If you're not going through a midlife crisis, why not? Why not? It sounds like
Absolutely.
a good idea.
I think you need her book.
Dr. Julie Hannan's book is the Midlife Crisis Handbook. And I see you've got your number here. I think I'm making an appointment to come and see you.
You'd be very welcome.
You see, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, but it can be a very positive thing in your life. I don't think people should be derided for going through change in their life, instead of stuck doing the same things, thinking the same ways, being the same.
Well, you used to
boring
say, like
person.
cars, people should change partners every 7 years.
Every 7 years. Like, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
preferably I get a new car about every 3 years.
Are you prepared to trade up in 3
See?
years' time?
He's not going anywhere.
Exactly, that's the thing. I
You're
think if
agreeing
it's
with
true
that.
love, you
yeah,
don't want
because
to
I think
upgrade.
people grow together, and I think it's all about communication. People change, and so it is about how we're going to move forward and grow together. Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. You're a very interesting person.
Yeah, we've been told we have to move on. We've talked much longer than we're supposed to, but we couldn't stop ourselves. Dr. Julie Hannan, in case anyone at home needs to make a call as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I got the newspapers right after this. Don't go away.